Hello, our friends. Evolutionary Energy Arts family, take 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5-ish.
Yes. So this is over on Patreon. This was yesterday's Patreon exclusive. Again, there's usually 2 or 3 Patreon exclusives on Patreon each week. And there are different tiers with different benefits to them. We invite you guys to come and be part of the family over there as well. All the videos are over on Patreon. They are also, besides the exclusives, if you're watching us on YouTube, just to let you know, in case anything happens, because today's been a tough one, working around technical challenges. Everything that could go wrong has been going wrong on YT today. It's just one of those days. We are on BitChute as EE Arts. We are on Brightian as Evolutionary Energy Arts. And a substantial library over there as well, as you can see. We have had over 1 million views on Brightian. And then we're on Rumble as EE Arts. And in case you don't know, I don't know if there's anybody out there that doesn't know that our other channels are EE Arts and also the newest OZONE, which is about 2 years old, I think. 1.5 years, 2 years old. And I did a video up there last night, was inspired practicing guitar before bed and recorded a little dreamscape music. So do check it out. We want to thank you guys as always for your support. Can you believe this? Here is another airline incident that was recorded by a passenger on Japan Airlines. It hit a Delta plane at Seattle SeaTac Airport. What's going on? All these accidents. People not thinking clearly? You really got to question it. There's been way too many things happening.
Yeah, I mean, this could be so many things. It could be someone's brain's not working right. They could be overwhelmed. It could be, something oddly deliberate. We just don't know.
2025. Just an incredible year. It is going to be an incredible year. Here we go. This is Whitney Webb talking about what's probably the biggest topic out there right now. A U.S. long-term ownership plan? What? Of Gaza? Is just a nicer way, she says, of saying another U.S. long-term military occupation of the Middle East on behalf of... Yeah, you could fill in the blank. When I first made the channel in 2017, the stat that hit me, and I found myself harping on it, was the fact that the U.S. was in 95% of the countries of the world in 2017 militarily. A military presence. Well, again, what's going on? It's the bigger picture. There is a much bigger picture playing out. Now, I don't think these times are usual. They are not usual. This is very, very unusual times. Let us see if we just listen a bit. So I want you guys, in case you have missed this.
United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there? Redevelopment? And Mr. Prime Minister, do you see this idea as a way to expand the boundaries of Israel and to have a longer peace, even though the Israeli people know how important that land is to you and your citizens, just as the space is inherited by the Palestinians as well?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble and demolished buildings falling all over. It's just a terrible sight. I've studied it. I've studied this very closely over a lot of months, and I've seen it from every different angle, and it's a very, very dangerous place to be, and it's only going to get worse. And I think this is an idea that's gotten tremendous, and I'm talking about from the highest level of leadership, gotten tremendous praise. And if the United States can help to bring stability and peace in the Middle East, we'll do that. Bibi?
Mr. Prime Minister, you are talking.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very, very stunned. I mean, just stunned, as it really is permanently displacing certain people, or at least that's what came across, permanently displacing. Here you see the Wall Street Journal, Mideast powers reject the proposal from 47 to take over Gaza. Saudi Arabia says it's committed to a Palestinian state, including the Strip. Rules out normalization of diplomatic ties with Israel without the goal. Oh, wow, this is huge. Jordan is ready to declare war on Israel in the event that Netanyahu attempts to forcibly expel Palestinians into its territory. And then Marco Rubio was adding a statement trying to clarify.
Very generously has offered is the ability of the United States to go in and help with debris removal, help with munitions removal, help with reconstruction, the rebuilding of homes and businesses and things of this nature, so that then people can move back in. But in the meantime, they'll have to live somewhere. Now, the details of that, if it was accepted, would have to be worked out among multiple partner nations. It's a unique offer, one that no other country in the world has stepped up and made an offer. But I think it's one people need to think about. Seriously, it was not meant as a hostile move. It was meant as I think a very generous move, the offer to rebuild and to be in charge of the rebuilding of a place, many parts of which right now, even if people move back, they would have nowhere to live safely because there are still unexploded munitions and debris and rubble. So what he's very...
Wow. Yeah, okay. So, you can move back later after it's developed, but how much is it going to cost? Are you going to be able to afford to? I mean, is it going to be lifestyles of the rich and famous? Obviously, there are a lot of raw material wealth that's been discovered in this area. There's plans for another canal over, in that area of the Middle East to rival the Suez Canal. Greenland, obviously, a lot of rare earth metals and things like that that are very valuable in this environment. Canada as well. Control of the Panama Canal. Well, now it seems that maybe that's being wrested from China. We'll have to see. All this, to me, it just makes the odds of WW3 almost a certainty. It looks really I think it's mind-blowing for many, many people. And here you have different people protesting. There's always been people protesting. I remember, the yellow vests or yellow jackets. Gosh, that was eons ago. God, 2019 seems like forever ago. I mean, there's been so much news, and there's been so much news in not even 1 month. It hasn't even been 1 month. It's been, like 2 weeks? And you can't keep up with everything that's going on. By the way, Representative Al Green is bringing forth articles of impeachment against 47. Is it unexpected? No, of course it's not. Moscow welcomes Trump's stance on Kiev's NATO bid because the statements that were made by Trump regarding Ukraine's NATO membership were that he admitted that, Russia, the way he said is, Russia has said that's a red line, Ukraine becoming a part of NATO, that we will never accept. So he said that, speaking to reporters in Florida, that Moscow's position has long been written in stone, and his predecessor, Joe Biden, ignored it. Somewhere along the line, Biden said they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I can understand the feelings about that. So this, to me, feels like it's a deal in some way, shape, or form. And Cindy is picking that all these moves are part of something much, much bigger. If there was perhaps some sort of deal, like give us Gaza, and we won't ask for Ukraine to join NATO, or maybe it's even bigger, like let us influence and dominate the Middle East, because, again, look what happened in Syria. Assad's not there. Now it's effectively under the control of Israel/Turkey/the U.S. By the way, the U.S. they're talking about withdrawing their troops from Syria. we were never really authorized by Congress to put them there in the first place. We're not invited by the Syrian people to be there. But in reality, what it seems like, I think, is intended is taking them from Syria and just relocate them south in Gaza. I mean, that's no big deal, and as far as logistics go, and it would make perfect sense with everything that we watch going on. And then you add in this. He is planning, 47, is planning to sell off half of all federal property. Do you know, what was it, sweetie? Was it 88% of all land in Nevada is federal? I think something like that.
It's very high numbers in certain states, yeah.
Wyoming's another one. Why is it so expensive, the land and property in Wyoming or Nevada? Well, it's because there's not that much that you could actually buy, because most of it is government land, federal lands, nature preserves, etc. Nature preserves that are just rocks? No, you don't want us in that area. You don't want us poking around the places that Cindy and I have poked around. We've poked around some interesting places in the deserts. We have seen some fossils for ourselves. We have seen some evidence of advanced construction and machinery out there in the middle of nowhere that was never populated by any sort of major civilization, according to the history books. But this is, again, my question right off the bat. Okay, you're going to sell off half of the federal property. I bet you I know who's going to buy it. Just think about black space dot hyphen the other word for a stone, if you get what I mean. Yeah, and other entities like that. I wouldn't doubt it for a moment.
Me either.
Meanwhile, the CIA offers sweeping buyouts to the entire workforce. Anybody that works for the CIA, you want 8 months paid leave and just never come back, you got it. Wow, so the CIA bit the dust. Well, the OSS. We look to the past. Things have been restructured when there is major political restructuring going on, and that would include things like Secret Service intelligence agencies. Hey, it happens. It happens. Wow, you just watch what happened in that European country in the 30s. Bryce Mitchell, the interesting character he is. Man, if you just... Wow, it's just crazy what we are watching. USAID has announced on its website that on Friday, February 7th, 2025, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, all USAID direct hire personnel worldwide will be placed on administrative leave. By the way, lots of money connecting USAID to the few. Oh, yeah. Now, we need change, but, what we're watching, it's just close your eyes, guys. Close your eyes and listen.
Wir haben einen Zukunftsplan für Deutschland, den wir in den ersten 100 Tagen einer Regierungsbeteiligung angehen. Die Grenzen lückenlos schließen und jeden illegal und ohne Papiere Einreisenden zurückweisen. Und eine ganz klare Ansage an alle Welt: Die deutschen Grenzen sind dicht, liebe Freunde. Sozialleistungen für nicht aufenthaltsberechtigte streichen.
You get the vibe. You could feel the vibe. History, in so many ways, is a nonstop repeating loop of cycles.
Yeah, she means business.
She does. And I've looked into her, too, as she is the opposition. And, it's a pick your poison, because the reality is the other choices that are in the running seem to be worse. You want to go back to the past, or you want to stay stuck in the muck and the mire of the few and that whole thing. The reality is we need a completely new system, but this is what they're going to do. It's amputation and then, applying Band-Aids. We need to think out of the box. Meanwhile, there's multiple DHS and DEA joint raids underway right now in Denver, Colorado. Yeah, which, again, the state where the governor was not going to be cooperating with ICE. Yeah, this is going to be just such a year. Google removes the ban on weaponizing AI. In a reversal of previous policies, the tech giant will now permit the technology to be used for developing arms and surveillance. Yeah, we know. The last video we did over on EE Arts, because we were talking about this thing, which there's Wikipedia's about, immediately demonetized. And also, just to let you know, you might want to look at what you want to remove from your video, because restricted views and demonetization. This is how the system does it. This is what the system does. And again, we need to think outside the box, but this is going to be a period that's going to maybe bring us back to those memories of 1930s Germany on a worldwide level, or at least in many places, 100,000 eggs stolen from one U.S. grocer. As again, it's been just one mass culling after another. No wonder there's $25 chickens and no eggs in the shelves in certain places. Now, I have had a hard time finding good chicken to buy, because if it's not free range organic, I'm not going to buy it, period. We're just not going to eat it. We'll eat something else. Because, again, there's so much that's put into them. Antibiotics, steroids, hormones, nanu, it goes on and on. Look at the labels, make sure there's no carrageenan added. If it has one of those solutions, 10% broth added, look down into what's in the broth. You'll find things often that you don't want being there. Tesla, 60% drop year-on-year sales. This is a big impact as well, but Elon's got other things in other frying pans in the fire. This is curious, and she has been Representative Anna Paulina Luna has been one of the people that's been behind disclosures. So she's going to announce something next week that's going to impact the entire nation, involving government transparency. I don't know. I just have a hunch. Maybe it's related to those JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King files. Maybe there's going to be something in there. We did find, unfortunately, that Martin Luther King, boy, he had some things in the closet there. But we didn't find the big smoking guns yet. Maybe this has something to do with that. If it's not about disclosure, I hope so. I hope it's something that's real. Meanwhile, this is a huge pileup over in China. And yeah, I could see why the person did this. Because one person after another, because of the fog, just zooming along and smashing into the next car. This is crazy. But again, most of these people are driving probably looking at their cell phones. And it's just, it says what society is. On the right, you're looking at a photo from the Obama movie, which we might see become very prophetic, perhaps in the April to June period this year. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, it's a big mess.
It is, as those Teslas were remote controlled by somebody to block off all the exits. Oh boy, this one is very touchy. Thomson Reuters Special Services. For what? What's this all about? Well, social engineering defense and large-scale social deception. This is where your tax dollars go. DARPA, which is Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. By the way, Bezos, he's got family that went and was actively involved in creating DARPA. Yeah, do you think it has any connection to him being the second most wealthy person on the planet? Yeah, so large-scale social deception, spending our tax dollars on finding out better ways to deceive ourselves. That just seems kind of counterintuitive.
I don't know. It seems about right for the world we live in right now.
Well, I mean, if we were saying that government was all about being for the people, by the people, of course. Argentina is going to quit the World Health Organization. As another one is going that route. I'm glad to see it personally. That's my personal take. Again, at the same time, I understand who's running it and know his relationship to the family that's over in the Middle East that we were just talking about in the beginning. And meanwhile, here's a little bit more disclosure. This is from Dr. Stephen Greer's files of some light beings. But light beings abound. There's more light beings than there are people embodied on Earth by far.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really like this because it's a lot of what I see.
Yes, absolutely. And it is part of disclosure. This little cutie, maybe getting up in age a little bit. So as approaching the bed, cautiously judging, can I do it? Can I do it? I remember I used to just fly over this. I could still do it. I could still do it. Yes. Oops. Keep active, keep fit. These times are going to be demanding in many different ways. I don't think I don't know, but I would venture to say that 2025 will be the most challenging one we've had so far. I do think that's the case, but hey, the cream always rises to the crop, and then Cindy gets it before I do.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.